Welcome to the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is my Bumble co-host, Kyle, JCRB Krause.
Hello, we're here. We have a ton of questions, and we have some potential answers. Will they be good answers, though? That's really up to Ian.
There will be answers. Your satisfaction is not guaranteed, but they will be answered.
Yes, indeed. We have a lot of questions, so let's not waste any more time. These ones come from our patrons over at patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, and of course, our YouTube members. So we're going to start off with this one from Allison S. Do Nermies tend to visit or live on continents corresponding to where they would live as normal animals?
I'm going to hazard a guess and say no.
Some of them live in cities, I think.
Yeah,
so.
And the world map itself is kind of a giant question mark. So it's not really fair to say, oh, the kangaroo Nermies live in the Australia analog if there isn't an Australia analog.
God, I hate how Nermies has become a thing. Please. Trying to make Nermies a thing.
The harder you fight it, the more they're going to use it.
I know. I know. Anyway, I think I cut you off. Did you already? I think you made your point, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's a question from Andrew D. Are all the promotional tie-in animations and tie-in comics considered canon to IDW? The Team Sonic Racing comic was once confirmed to be non-canon by IDW staff, but I'm assuming that has changed since.
Again, if it's promoted and published through Sega social media channels, it's canon. The racing comic, that one I'm not 100% sure myself, but it's not like if it is, it's not adding much. If it's not, we're not losing much. It's a tie-in comic to a racing story that was, there. So it's not really a big deal one way or the other.
But Ian, I must know, is it canon? It must be. It has to be. If it's not, then the whole thing falls apart. It's like Sonic is like a house of cards. It's like if one thing's not canon, the whole thing falls apart. It's like if the Twitter takeovers aren't canon, then nothing is canon and everything is ruined.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's right.
Yes, I'm listening.
I know you're
Very
not.
good point. And that's the way the cookie crumbles. Anyway, next question.
This one is from Axis. With Sonic Rush's 18th anniversary coming, I got inspired to ask, if Sega decided to develop Sonic Rush 3 or its spiritual successor, and asked you to write the story for it with almost unlimited freedom, how would you go about it? Like, what would be the core aspects of the story? Locations, villains, supporting cast? How would you keep building Sonic and Blaze's dynamic and relationship, etc.?
This is in the magical realm where I get to steer the ship, I guess. That doesn't happen. But, Sonic Rush 1, God, 18 years. Oy. Introduced us to the concept of Blaze and her dimension and the Soul Emeralds. Rush Adventure actually showed us that world and introduced the idea of the Jeweled Scepter, expanding upon the two universe scenario. So 3, I think, should be the end of it. Bring all those various ideas to a point. Have a cross-dimensional adventure. Some stages on Blaze's world, some on Earth. And honestly, maybe I might be alone in this, but I'd like to put an end to the other dimension thing, because it doesn't do much. It isn't that different from Sonic's world to be truly remarkable. It doesn't bring anything wholesale completely different. Sonic's world is full of so many zany, whimsical, magical things that it's hard not to just do that again. So, wrap it up with the worlds merging into one, and now Blaze and the Soul Empire are a part of Sonic's world. Or they're like co-planets, either on the same orbital plane, or they kind of just like orbit each other, so you have a giant planet on the horizon at all times, which would be visually fantastic, personally speaking. But like, tie a bow on the whole two universes thing, because it's unnecessarily cumbersome, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, Sonic is full of a lot of that. Unnecessarily cumbersomeness. We don't need that. Get rid of that. Crisis on Infinite Sonic Rushes.
As for characters and villains, Sonic and Blaze, obviously. Bring back Marine, give her a little arc, maybe explain the water powers, maybe tie that into the finale to this whole thing. I don't know. There's a lot of directions you could go with, a lot of options you could have with it. But ultimately, I would want to resolve the two universe thing just to make Blaze more accessible. So we don't have that lingering issue of why is she not on her home world in her home dimension taking care of her planet?
Yeah. All right, here's one from Batman69 LOL. Let's say a random time portal opened up right as Starline finished Surgeon Kit's personalities and powers, but before having programmed their hatred of Sonic and Tails, sending Surgeon Kit, but not Starline, back in time to the events of Sonic 2. Through shenanigans, it causes Kit to be Sonic's partner and Surge to be Tails' hero. How would Sonic deal with Kit as his partner and Surge deal with Tails as a partner, and whatever else I said in the previous question?
Okay, so jumping through hoops to get this to align, but you know what? You did the jumps.
You know what?
You set up the hoops. One of them's even on fire, so we'll go with it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yes, people in the chat are swearing this got asked. Technically, yes, but it is being rephrased in a way that gets it to where Batman 69 LOL wants it.
Yeah, yeah.
So...
And I think... And, last time we kind of covered this topic, it's like, well, it wouldn't work because of X, Y, and Z. And here he goes, okay, let's eliminate those variables.
Yes.
Answer the damn question, Flynn. Okay, fine, we'll do
it. There we go. Stop being needlessly pedantic. I'm going to be needlessly pedantic back so you can get it. So we can get the right question, damn it.
So, Sonic and Kit, and we're talking Sonic 2 days, where I would like to think Sonic still had a little more of that attitude. He's become very wholesome now. It's not quite the same old 90s dude. So maybe he's a little impatient with Kit, kind of simpering and fawning and clinging to him. But he's not going to be a jerk about it. And he's, going to need his help to get through certain obstacles. He's going to be a freaking lifesaver. When you miss that jump in Chemical Plant Zone and you fall into the Mega Mac again. Kit just Hydro zoops you straight out. And then he earns his keep forever and ever. Amen. And Kit, with that positive reinforcement, a little bit of tough love maybe, but nothing abusive, manages to warm up a little bit and maybe remember that he has a spine and come out better for it in the end. Can he fly a plane, though? Questions for later.
He'll figure it out.
Surge and Tails. I think it's a coin flip to say whether or not she joins the bullies in picking on Tails at the start. Because she's a jerk.
Yeah.
Or maybe that gets tiresome because the bullies are kind of dumb and they wear out her patience, so she thumps them and goes running off, and Tails is like, oh wow, she totally beat them up. I want to at least say thank you. And so he's trying to chase her down to be polite, and she's like, why is this weird kid following me, and trying to run away from him. Thus the adventure begins. And Tails would not necessarily flourish under Surge, but she might kind of make him toughen up just through pure determination.
Yeah.
Like maybe her desire, she wouldn't necessarily turn away someone who's fawning over her or assisting. She'll use people, sure. So he's useful enough, and her brand of tough love, I say in gigantic quotation marks, gets him, kind of awakens that inner hero within him. He finds inspiration in the wrong places, but he'll ultimately turn out all right, I hope. Maybe.
He's a little more bitey than before.
Yeah. People say that modern Tails is way more snarky. I guess with a snark begins here in this scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Would he eventually just get put up with Surge? Would he just get tired of her? Come on. Yeah, I don't know.
It all depends on just how much of a bully Surge is to him.
Yeah.
Like if she figures out that, okay, he's going to fight back a little bit, or he's not going to take it like Kit does, she might figure out, okay, she needs to back off and offer the occasional encouraging word. But I don't think she's that manipulative. I don't think she's that cunning.
Yeah.
Like Kit works because he's already codependent on her. She can make mistakes and he's still going to cling to her. Tails, even young Tails, even Tails before he has grown at all, I think he's got that potential and wouldn't necessarily fall in line with Surge. I don't know. It's kind of a nature versus nurture question.
Yeah. It's an interesting thought, though.
What do you think? Comment below. Drive our metrics.
All right, here's a question from Blake. Rabbit Haver put this idea in my head, and now I'm obsessed with it. What would the Team Dark dynamic be like if Omega was replaced by Bender Futurama? His name is Bender. His last name is Futurama, apparently.
Last name's Rodriguez.
Yes, Bender Bending Rodriguez, but Bender Futurama is funnier. It's like Sans Undertale.
I mean, within the first 5 minutes, we've got to have him tell Shadow to bite his shiny metal ass.
Obviously.
Otherwise, I don't see it being that much different. It's just he's more talkative and crude. He might need a little more incentive to go along with it, but, Rouge promises him unrepentant mayhem and looting, and sure, he's on board.
And alcohol.
Yeah.
Which is odd, a very strange thing in a Sonic thing, but hey, you know what? They gave Shadow guns, why not give the robot beer?
It's premium Chaos Cola. Whatever.
That would be good. That would be good. If I'm being asked why Eggman made Bender, he wouldn't. This is like, imagine if a portal opened up or something. I don't know. Now I'm just thinking of Omega in the Futurama world. Oh boy.
Someone actually fights Santa Claus. Omega, with your paint so red, won't you join my carnage sled?
It's true.
Shifting mission parameters. Ho, ho, ho. Now I am a minigun.
Yes. Here's a question from Butter Noodles. Vector is offered a very high-paying job. However, it's a lot of hours and he has to travel a lot for it, meaning he won't be home more than a few days at a time throughout the year. Would he take the job? Would he be willing to be apart from Espio and Charmy and leave them to their own devices without him while he financially supports them?
Initially, yes. The idea that he would have security and direction and be able to take care of the boys, sure. He'd put on the collar and tie and do whatever it is that he's got to do for this 6-figure job. But it wouldn't last. The time apart, the mundane nature of whatever that work is, it would get to him eventually. It's not who he is. It's not what he is. So I give him 6 months.
That long?
Well, see, if he stayed for 7, he would have gotten his pension. So yeah, 6 months.
Oh, of course. Of course. You were 1 month from retirement.
SBO, you've seen enough cop movies to know how that goes.
Always get pulled out. Never truly retire. Here's one from Selpus. What is your favorite moment in the Sonic franchise that you had nothing to do with?
Ooh.
Gotta go back pretty far to get to one of those.
The first thing that pops into my mind was when my little brother and I were playing Sonic Adventure 2 for the first time, and we get to the finale, and, Knuckles says, you got to turn into Super Sonic and save the day. And Sonic goes over and goes, Shadow. And we're like, what? And then the Emerald starts circling the two of them. Are like, what? And then you got your Super Sonic, and then boom, Super Shadow. And we were just marking out, man. We were freaking out. It was the coolest, hypest thing in the world at that point.
I mean, it was pretty cool. It is a good moment, for sure. I'm still a fan of Doomsday Zone.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those moments where it's like, oh, okay, this escalated quickly. I thought we were done. No, we are not. All right, here's this one from Chaos Sonic 1. Shadow and Archie Knuckles pre-SGW get the symbiote. Would the Enerjack power and Black Arm's DNA make them resistant to the symbiote? That's an interesting thought.
Yeah. See, I can't remember now what the intention was with Enerjack being a kind of malevolent entity. Like, I don't think the idea was that it was like a fully formed consciousness. Like, it wasn't like a corrupting individual, but it was kind of a persona that manifested. I might have that wrong. It's been so long since I've had to think about that kind of lore. But, I mean, it's still a corruptive force to some degree? Or was that more of Finitivis's hex?
What the hex?
Complications. I guess it's also kind of a question of which comes first, the interject transformation or the symbiote bonding to the host. But I don't think the interject power would necessarily affect the symbiote one way or the other. If anything, having the power of interject is just, supercharging the host. And if the host has something that's already kind of piggybacking on him and enhancing, you're just going to have a stronger symbiote on top of everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So, bad news for everybody who's not Inner Venom. Venernack?
Venernack?
Whatever.
Either one.
As for the Black Arms, no. My understanding of the symbiote lore is dated at best. But they could fuse with any species, as far as I know. The whole thing is that they are a symbiotic goo monster. If it's got a compatible genetic code, it's just going to be on there. So the fact that Shadow is kind of like a petri dish of various DNAs wouldn't really change that.
Throw another one on the pile.
Much either.
Throw another one on the pile. What the heck? No different.
Have to change the slogan to "This is who we am."
Who we am? Yeah. Oi. All right, here's one from DDR Master M. While thinking about fun potential combos involving Tangle or Whisper, I found an interesting contrast about their Neo Diamond Cutters team versus the Chaotix, in that they are kind of opposites. The Chaotix are an all-boys team with 2 goofballs and a series character, and the Neo Diamond Cutters, occasional guest and current infiltrator notwithstanding, are an all-girls team with 2 series characters and 1 goofball. So this left me wondering, how might a team-up between these 2 teams play out?
Oh, that would be fun.
I think they would get stuff done despite the goofballiness of the goofballs.
Yeah, you'd have a little bit of that, friction of who belongs where, and Lanolin getting frustrated because Vector seems like such a corn dog, but he also is really good at his job.
Yes.
What?
Vector is a goofball, but he is a very, very effective goofball.
You have a ninja on your team who loses his camo when he sneezes, but he's also really cool and adept. Charmy is a literal child who cannot focus on one thing for more than 2 seconds, but he's also kind of the third pillar of the team. How does this work? How do you guys work?
There's a reason why they're called the Chaotix.
And it just kind of gives her a new perspective and appreciation for the team that she's on now. And Whisper is not really Whisper already has trouble working in teams, so making a team co-op mission is going to kind of not sit well with her, but she'll kind of hang back, watch, do what she needs to do. Maybe she and SBO could do some like cool silent killer sneaky stuff. And then everybody's saved by the Charmy and Tangle combo. Like, he grabs her tail, she swings in like a wrecking ball, the music cues up. Grand old time for everybody.
I'm ready. I am ready. Make it happen, Ian. This next question is from Fang the Werehog. My question is a Sonic cookbook question, so spoilers? In the cookbook, we have a couple of recipes by Tangle and Whisper, 2 IDW characters. My question is simple. Which other IDW characters would you include recipes for if another cookbook came out? Starline, Belle, Surgeon Kit, Jewel, Mimic, etc. I'd love to hear your ideas.
I don't know necessarily. Tangle and Whisper were kind of special cases because they've made the jump. I mean, everybody in IDW is canon, but Tangle and Whisper are already featured outside of the books. And in minor ways, but it's way more than any other comic exclusive character has ever been. Sally being the notable exception.
Mm-hmm.
The only one to kind of approach that, I guess, is Surge. So maybe her, and I guess kind of like bring Kit up as well. But when we were doing the original cookbook, it was a question of, are we even going to acknowledge or include any of the comic characters? So I took a shot pitching Tangle and Whisper, but it's like, who else? Really? It's like, I mean, Jewel would make some sense with her associations, but let's be honest. Jewel is nice. She is not on the same level as Tangle and Whisper. Rough and Tumble, not on the same level. Mimic, new. Maybe Belle, but she doesn't eat. But maybe she cooks for others because, it makes them happy. So, yeah, maybe Belle.
Maybe. Starline?
I will avoid making fun of the fact that he can't cook anything anymore. Yeah, probably. Makes sense. I'm honestly surprised he hasn't made the same strides that Tangle and Whisper did. Well, no, that's not true. He got a plush. Yeah, okay. If you get a plush, you get to be in the cookbook. There you go. That's your litmus.
There you go.
Wait, that means a Donpa could get a entry in the cookbook. That's weird. That's weird.
Put him in there. Why not? Put him in there. All right. This one is from Geo Knuckles. Knuckles mentioned in Tails Tube that Mighty and Ray are better / upgraded versions of Sonic and Tails. How would you introduce them in Knuckles 2 and 3? Knuckles 2 and 3 Knuckles gets his own game?
Knuckles needs his own game first.
Yeah, there first needs to be a Knuckles 1. Unless I guess you count Chaotix as a Knuckles game, but I don't know about that. I want to play Knuckles 3 and Mighty.
Unless you want to just say it's Chaotix 2 and 3. Now I'm on board. I don't know. Keep the Mania formula. I mean, they got it right that time. Why mess with perfection?
Yeah.
And how do you introduce them? They're back. There they are. Eggman's doing a bad thing. They go stop it. That's the beauty of the classic era. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, might as well. I'm down. Let's do it. Here's a question from Happy Times. Why haven't the Chaotix already warned Jewel and the rest of the Restoration about the criminal green opossum who came out of retirement and is interested in gathering Eggman tech? Clutch even taunted them at the end of number 48 by saying they should tell everyone that he's returned.
Good question.
Do you not have an answer?
You know what? I'm not writing the IDW mainline series, so I'll let Evan handle that one.
Go ask Evan, then, I guess, is the answer. But I'm being asked, wasn't that your story?
No.
It's not?
Oh.
In number 48? Oh, right. In 66, though? This is an issue 66 question, apparently.
Well, it's
the part where Clutch meets Jewel.
Yeah. I mean, best I can say is that, the Chaotix don't go around knocking on everybody's door saying, hey, we ran into one potential criminal guy once who said he's going to do bad things and we haven't found him since. That and Clutch doesn't really broadcast himself as part of Clean Sweep. Clean Sweep is the front-facing name of the organization. The only person to have really interacted with him has been Jewel. Amy hasn't run into him. All she knows, if she's heard of anything, is Clean Sweep.
Mm-hmm. I'm guessing what happened is, they were going to tell her, but then, SBO sneezed and all chaos broke loose, and so it just never happened.
I mean, something else to keep in mind is the Sonic cast are not the Freedom Fighters. They are not the Avengers. They are not an organized superhero team that compares intel and keeps track of all the bad things at all times. They're friends who just happen to come together to save the world fairly frequently. They are not an organized police force. They are a hodgepodge of gifted individuals that hang out.
Alrighty. Here's one from Hatak. Suppose Gemerald had Emerald's full capabilities and a full set of the IDW cast's ability cards. What would be some fun combinations of 2 or more different characters' traits? This doesn't have to be limited to just fighting game combos.
Yeah, but they're fighting game characters, so make with the punchy. It's fun that way. In that case, a Sonic Battle styled Whisper would definitely have her Wisp-On abilities. So her battle card would have Wisp-On abilities, which means Gemerald in the scenario would have Wisp-On abilities, or at least emulate them. And that right there is fun. That's fun on a bun. I do wonder how he would replicate Tangle's abilities, because he's missing an appendage for that. But I know that there were some other abilities that, Emerald copied that were very character specific, and I can't remember how they worked around that. But I don't know. It's kind of spoiled for choice, because you could have all the toys in one little awesome looking robot. Hover, Wisp, uppercut into a homing attack, into a diving knuckle, turn around and do a chaos punch, finish her with a tails laser. It's just so many fun options.
Chain lightning tail.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. I like it. Can we do that? Please do that, Ian.
Stink bomber into a cloud, exit with a double lariat, enter into another spin dash.
Stinky.
Add to it a pink spike for extra radius. You could do all sorts of fun stuff. Good Lord. Be broken as all get out.
I mean, at this point, yeah, it would be highly broken, especially if he had Starline's ability card and he had the Tricore or something.
Tricore and Warp Topaz abilities on top of all that?
Oh, boy.
And this is assuming he's got his base arsenal from, Advance 3, so... And zip in close, bop someone into the air, open a portal, fire a missile into it so the missile falls on them, blasting them back to the ground.
This is why Emerald had to die. Emerald could not be in more than one game. He was too broken. All right, here's a question from Hearts 13. What if genies, the zany chaotic / lawful good genie of the lamp of Aladdin, beating the chaotic neutral fat Majin Buu from Dragon Ball Z, and the neutral good Prismo, the Wishmaster from Adventure Time? How would it play out?
That last question almost broke my brain on terms of infinite possibilities, and now we have this?
three genies. Throw Shantae in there, and you get 3.5.
All due respect to Shantae, she's kind of out of her league here. Goodness. I mean,
the most powerful of those. I don't know. I don't know anything about Prismo. I know very little about Majin Buu, but I do know the genie. So,
what little I know of Prismo is that he's kind of reality altering, but within certain constraints.
He can create entire realities, apparently.
All right, so.
Which the Genie of the Lamp can kind of do too, to be fair.
Yeah, but I can imagine that Genie, who is a showman at heart, could keep Boo entertained. This also begs the question, which version of Boo? Like Fat Boo, Kid Boo, Skinny Boo,
it's supposed to
Super
be,
Boo.
They specified Fat Boo.
Fat Boo? Okay, well then, yeah, no. Aladdin's Genie would keep him entertained and Prisma would keep him fed, so peace?
Yeah. I think that would work, but it would be entertaining.
It does beg the question, if Boo turned Genie into some form of confectionery, one, could he do that? And two, would Genie retain the ability to revert himself or maintain some control? Like how complete is that transformation?
All right, here's a question from Hero Squad. I have a Eggman on his knees in Frontier's OG ending. Did he get up too fast and have to kneel down again because he felt dizzy? Sounds kind of like me.
Devastated by loss.
He's like me for real, though. He's like, I got up too fast. Oh, God. Here's this one from Icy. On a scale from 0 to 100, how many Gundam figure builds does Tails own?
He's only got the one, but it's a fully functioning Gundam.
Yeah, it's not a figure. It's a real Gundam.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Well, he's super impressed with your collection. Like, no shade thrown whatsoever. Marvelous job. Let him show you what he has.
He's ready. Yeah, he only needs one. And our last question before we take a break is from JCR1216. Hello, Mr. Ian Flynn. As someone that enjoys Other M, and I mean, I'm probably the #1 fan of the greatest piece of fiction. I've read all of it twice, and I've already printed 3. Would you like it if I printed it, all of the issues, and gave it to you as a gift?
No, please don't. I'm very happy that you enjoy it, but it needs to die. Let it fade off into the distance and be forgotten. Cherish it as much as you want. I'm not going to tell you otherwise, but it is something I am done with and have moved on from, and it is done now. It is behind me. That skeleton in the closet can clutch it as much as it wants. We're done. We're done. But no more. Kyle, take a break. Get us out of here.
I didn't even know you had anything to do with Metroid Other M.
The baby.
The baby.
The baby.
The baby. My baby. We're back, and we got our social media giveaway question. This one comes from Tumblr. So if you're following us over on Twitter, Tumblr, Blue Sky, and also Instagram and Facebook, we'll be doing giveaway rotations every week on those platforms. So get in there, and maybe you could win a free priority question. This question comes to us from Rooftop Runner. During the Metal Virus Saga, we see Silver mention that he knows how to use Chaos Control, but to my knowledge, he hasn't been shown to use Chaos Control at any time before this since Sonic 06. If he supposedly isn't able to remember the events of 06, though, how does he know how to use Chaos Control, let alone know that he's even able to use it at all? The same question applies to him knowing that he can go super.
Lingering ideas in the subconscious that just happen to bubble up to the surface during a moment of crisis, and certainly not an oversight on anybody else's part, writing, editorial, or licensing.
No, of course not. Of course not. Nobody overlooked that. Oh well. Here's a question from Mixer17. More Never Gonna Happen friend scenarios. Charmy, Cream, Cheese, Tails, and Kit get to have a day where they all just get to have fun and act like the kids they clearly are, no matter how mature some of them are. What do? Do they all stick around together, or do they eventually split to do things on their own, too? And does Kit get to figure out a more cost-effective flying trick just for the day, so he's not the only one who can't fly without worrying about running out midway and needing to be carried?
No, that's their bonding experience. Just getting Kit to come out of his shell and hang out with them is a big step, and then they all go flying because that's a fun trick. And he goes flying with them, and then his water tank runs out, and oh no, he's being abandoned by his flying friends, and he's falling to his doom, but no! His new friends came back to catch him, and they fly him all the way to some place where he can recharge, and thus they reveal the true superpower of teamwork, or some schmaltzy stuff.
Oh no. Why do you making this so dismissive when it's so adorable?
I do think Tails would have to almost take on, I don't want to say the parental role, but he's always been more mature than your standard kid. So
Or the mentor.
I see him. Yeah. He's not going to be able to get on quite the same wavelength as like Charmy, but maybe he can relax and get over himself a little bit as well.
Yeah. I guess maybe he takes kind of like the big brother role that everyone else looks up to, which is weird for him. He's like used to doing that with Sonic, so, But it's a growing experience for all of them, even Kit. Here's a question from Noni. Got a Boom universe-based question and absolutely no shame. What would a blind date between Fastidious Beaver and Boom Starline be like?
That's oddly specific.
Pedantic.
Did we establish what Boom Starline was like?
I think so, yeah. I mean...
What did we say?
Yeah, like he's still obsessed with Eggman, but I
He's
think
Eggman without the sinister
but
edge, I guess?
he's like very pretentious and yeah, he's very flamboyant.
Okay.
An Eggman
So, fun
flamboy to the
Starlight.
extreme. Got
Yeah,
an
all right,
Eggman
fun.
shrine in his room.
All right.
I'm being told that the BumbleKast is That's Oddly Specific, the podcast.
So, blind date between the two of them. Awkward at first because they're not really people persons to begin with. But, as they sit down to dinner and Fastidious complains that the napkin is not properly folded, Starline will completely agree, and they begin discussing the proper etiquette and how one should meticulously design a folded napkin for the epitome of style and grace. And once they have found that common thread, it goes swimmingly.
They can both be pedantic together.
I mean, they eventually out insufferable each other, and they do not see the reflection that is clearly in front of them, but for the most part, it's a civil and enjoyable evening.
Yeah. Dave's going to hate it, though.
Well, yeah, he had to retrofit the entire place to make it Shea Medburger.
Oh, dear. Oh, boy. Here's a question from a normal person. Let's say, hypothetically, someone were to try to lure Landolin with a bucket of grass to dump a bucket of water on her and push her back onto her back so she can't get up. Would she fall for the trap? And if so, how well would she react to this swag prank, bro?
Let's just say she and Tangle aren't on speaking terms anymore. Tangle didn't mean anything by it. She just read about it on the internet and wanted to see if it was true.
Could you lure Landolin with a bucket of grass?
Well, she's wondering why is anybody putting grass in a bucket? Why is it sitting out in the middle of the floor? Wait, is that a targeting reticle under my feet?
Is this Tangle trying to tell Landolin she needs to touch grass?
And see, the thing is, it isn't any kind of equilibrium problem. It's all that wool being soaking wet just simply weighs her down.
Yeah.
And when she eventually manages to haul herself up into this dripping mass of anger and wool, Tangle is momentarily terrified until she realizes, Baba Yaga. And then she's cracking up and, Lindolin's going to murder her.
Oh, no. Run, Tangle, run. It was just a prank, bro. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Here's a question from Pedanticat. With the debut of Silver in issue 194 of Archie Sonic, you began to lay the groundwork for a 3-year mystery in which Silver would be trying to find the traitor among the freedom fighters, whose actions were partially responsible for his ruined future. How did you come up with this idea? Did you know at the very beginning that you were going to roboticize Sally with her being the unwilling traitor? How many crazy theories did you see being made about who the traitor is? When Sally became Mecha Sally, did the entire fandom at the time go, oh my god, Sally is the traitor? And have you ever wanted to do another one of those long con mystery stories again? Also, fun fact, did you know that you both set up and technically revealed the mystery in the same month? Issue 194 was released in November 2008, while issue 230 was released in November 2011. It's almost like you had this on a 2-year plan, Ian.
It's been a long time, but from what I remember, Aaliyah and I sat down and kind of hashed this out between us before we had the finalized pitch to go to then editor Paul Kaminsky, because something this intricate, you need to figure it out first, and what misdirections and red herrings one could do. But yeah, we had the whole general idea planned out. That it would be Sally, that it would be through the robotization, and that the details of it were lost over the intervening 200 years of devastation. And we put clues in there, and some folks picked up on it, and others did not. And some folks understood what we were doing, and some still do not to this day. But that's how any kind of mystery works out. It's going to work for some people and it's not going to work for others. It's not a type of story that I'm eager to jump back into. I'm not particularly good at mysteries myself, and so crafting one is especially difficult. And it's even harder still in a franchise like Sonic, where all the principal cast has already been established and is well known. So if you're going to have some kind of mystery like this, either you have to introduce somebody new, which makes it obvious who it is, or you have to find a reason to implicate one of the other characters. And that runs the risk of, displeasing the licensor who wants their characters represented in a very specific way. So I think we managed to pull it off reasonably well this one time. I don't think it's something that we necessarily have to revisit anytime soon.
Alrighty. Here's a question from Professor Scruffymet. You recently answered a question regarding how protective Shadow would be of a resurrected Maria. Let's go one step further than that. How protective would Shadow be when Maria was old enough to want to start dating?
It's such a pity. Every person she shows interest in suddenly vanishes.
Forever. Never comes back.
Like every one of them just ghosting her. It's the weirdest thing. Meanwhile, Shadow has a cave.
Well,
a cave full of cells. And very confused people.
I mean, that's where Boom got the idea of him living in a cave from. That's his prison cave.
I mean, once Maria finds out, she's going to be furious. I don't understand what's the problem. I feed them once a day.
They get feed and water. Treat them like the
Shadow,
animals
how
they
do
are.
they bathe? It rains.
I hose them down once in a while. Shadow, that's torture. Well,
it's necessary.
Tell me they don't deserve it. Oh boy, Shadow's very unhinged. Oy, 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 oy. Here's a question from Rabbit Haver. How does Silver feel about post-apocalyptic media given his background? The comedy answer is that he rails on it for being inaccurate, of course, but does it hit a little too close to home? Does it just remind him that everything he went through is just entertainment to other people? Does it make him feel alone in what he survived, even though he's among friends? Devastate me, please.
If you don't want the comedy answer, then
Oh.
I guess there's a degree of confusion, because why would people want to see this? You have it so good in this time period, what with your clean air and green grass and available food and buildings with 4 walls. Why would you want escapist fantasy where you don't have that? It doesn't compute. He dreams of this world that you live in, and you want to dream about his? And then there's a deeper discussion over how disaster fantasy is a means of escapism from the mundanity of life, of how it is used as an allegory for greater real world issues, and how sometimes it's just fun to turn off your brain and watch things go boom.
It's true.
And Silver will come around to it. There's some logic to it. Okay, he can see where this is coming from. It's kind of like the roller coaster thing, right? Where you strap yourself into a car and throw yourself off a cliff. People find that fun? Okay. Yeah, okay. He doesn't quite get it, but I mean, if it makes you happy and you're safe, he can't really knock it. But man, people this time period are weird.
It's true. Here's a question from Morless. Recently, you answered a question about a polyamorous relationship between Sonic, Shadow, and Amy, but I think that a relationship between Blaze, Amy, and Sonic has even more potential. How do you think a polyamorous relationship between the three would work out? What kind of dates would they go on? How often would Amy and Sonic go visit Blaze in her dimension? And most importantly, how often would Sonic be banished to the couch because of a bad fire pun he made while flirting with Blaze? Say every time. All the time.
And is it really being banished to the couch when he's crashing on people's couches whenever he's in town in general?
Pretty much. Sonic is the third wheel in this relationship, to be honest. Literally, because he rolls into a ball. I mean, they all do, but...
I mean, if we're assuming that Blaze is back in her dimension and attending to her duties, she's like the one stationary object in this. She has her duty. She has her palace. She has her location. She's not really going out much.
Mm-hmm.
And Amy would be making the trip the most often, I imagine. And Sonic will be by as well. And they wouldn't necessarily all three be together most of the time. Maybe that's like special events. But I guess it'd be kind of like a revolving door of visitation and hanging out and whatnot. At least one instance in which, Sonic goes to Blaze Dimension, but Blaze has gone back to his dimension to visit Amy, but Amy's not at her apartment. She's gone looking for Sonic, and the three of them just kind of chase each other for about a week.
Yeah. I think that would work. That would be funny. Here's our next question. It's from Recusant. Oh no, Orbot and Cubot have trapped Sonic and however many friends you feel like riffing about in a room. The only way to escape it? Why, log on to those computers and play old World of Warcraft until they reach level 60 and beat a 40-man raid. How do they overcome this challenge? Who takes charge? Who struggles against grinding?
Oh, Sonic's going to be apoplectic.
Sonic is going to hate this.
Sit in a chair and click buttons? No. Like, he might enjoy the overworld to a degree. Some nice scenery. He'd like to run there himself, but he's not. He's here.
Plodding along very slowly.
One hand on keyboard, one hand on mouse. Click, click, click. He can't stand this. Tails is fine. He's already had this min-maxed from the get-go. Oh, he already wanted to start a new character. This is going to be fun.
Tails is already in his element, yeah.
Knuckles doesn't understand why they can't all just be in the same raid. And Tails explains, okay, there's an alliance and there's Horde. You're an orc. You can't be part of the alliance. Well, that doesn't seem fair. Why did you even do that anyway? There were dinosaurs. Yeah, okay, Knuckles, okay. We'll figure this out. Rouge has made remarkable progress, and then they figure out that she's managed to hack her system with a gold farming algorithm. She's funding the party now.
Well, I mean, that works.
Amy was a casual player, log in maybe an hour or two every week or so, in there for the role play, not so much for the actual gameplay. So she finds Tails' mini-maxing a little aggravating. This is the whole reason why she doesn't do raids, but it's to get out of the room. She'll knuckle down, she'll get this done. And Shadow's already hit like the level 60 cap and gone beyond. And nobody can quite figure out why. Isn't sitting in one place, isn't that awful for him too? Oh yeah, he absolutely hates it. But he's the ultimate life form. He's going to have the ultimate avatar. And if he's going to show up Sonic, it's going to be here and now.
It's true.
Wait a minute, they didn't even have Pandarins in OG World of Warcraft. Get good, noob. Click, 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 click,
click. Meanwhile, Tangle is playing two characters at once. I mean, the tail is one to tail at one computer and the rest of her at the other.
Which is impressive and all, except they were playing WoW, Tangle, not Warcraft 3.
Oops. She just accidentally invented Dota.
Meanwhile, Whispers in the Corner muttering StarCraft is better.
Oof.
She's still salty that systems of StarCraft never emerged.
Yeah. Whisper knows what's up. All of them are nerds. That's what I'm getting out of this. Every single one of them is a huge nerd, which is funny. Except Sonic. I guess Sonic is just a nerd about other things, though, to be fair. So
maybe Tails managed to jury-rig some kind of device to beam Sonic into the code, cyberspace style. And then, yeah, he's good. He's all set. He's running around. He's beating stuff up. He's gaining all the loot.
Yeah.
Griefing Knuckles.
Oh, so he just turned this into Sword Art Online. Got it. Got it. All right. Let's move on to this next question. It's from Morocco Million. No disrespect, Ian, but why did you write Rouge so badly back then? Rouge was a straight-up villain during your pre-reboot Archie run. She was scheming to steal Knuckles from Julie Sue, and she tried to steal a Soul Emerald while knowing but not caring that without it the entire Soul Dimension would be destroyed and trillions upon trillions of people would die. I warned thee, Ian Flynn, your crimes against the Sonic franchise will not go unpunished, and I want you to know that I'm saying all of this with a knowing smile, so you know I mean business. Evil laugh.
The intention back then was she was supposed to be a dark type character.
Yeah.
Not heroic. She was self-serving and, fixated on jewels. And, maybe I steered a little too hard in one direction. And it is something that we've run into a fair bit over the years because she has been arguably more heroic as time went on, but the notes keep coming back that she's not a hero. That she's not altruistic, that she isn't one of the good guys. She is self-serving. So anything she does has to be in the context of how does it benefit her. It's weird.
Yeah, it's a little goofy. Yeah. Poor Rouge. And we got a question from Sammy. Back about a year ago, my first ever BumbleKast question was in regards to Cream and how she just disappeared entirely from Sonic games. As you can imagine, I was very happy to find out I can play as her again in a Sonic game. My question is, how likely do you think Cream will stay around? I'm really hoping she becomes a mainstay again like she used to be in the past. It would be cool to see the rest of the Rabbit family too, Jim Roll included, but, baby steps.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Her inclusion in Dream Team was a happy surprise, and maybe that will influence things going forward. But one of the things to keep in mind is with the 3D games, adding additional playable characters is infinitely more demanding than in the old 2D games. That third dimension and everything that comes with it adds a lot of dev time and resources. So who is playable when is that line, that queue fills up real fast. From my understanding, at least. I have no control over it. So I would like to at least see her return in at least a narrative capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe an NPC, which isn't ideal. But again, there's only so many characters one can reasonably play as with every title without them going like crazy with the budget.
Well, I guess this is just an excuse to have Sonic Advance 4, Sonic Mania 2. Like Super Mario Advance 4, Super Mario Brothers 3. This numbering makes sense, right? Just don't think about it too hard. Scurvy Pirate Dog has a question. So Surge and Kit were made by Starline, but Starline is a fanboy, and he didn't make Surge and Kit from scratch. He took two existing people, and to top it off, he based them on Sonic and Tails. So if we take that into account, and with him being a fanboy, doesn't that mean that Surge and Kit are technically Starline's recolor OCs? Does it say made by Starline, do not steal on their butts?
Yep. There's like an entire line of junk DNA coded that if you decipher it, it says exactly that.
Starline's original characters do not steal. It's in the code. Of course it's in the code. I figured it would just be printed on them. No. That's too much. It has to be deep. You can always file the markings off.
The long lost dev file where he talks about them and their original working names. This one will be Mary Sue and this one will be Gary Stew.
Oh no.
No, those aren't quite in theme. We'll revise that later.
Bottom of Surge's shoes says Starline on it in marker. Oh no. Andy Starline.
I made a friend for me.
Yeah.
I made a friend for me.
Starline, you have no friends. The friends you made for yourself didn't even like you. It's more like Sid.
The friends are the ones I made along the way.
Literally. Here's a question from Scourge Time. We know Sonic's weakness is water, so this would mean it's also Scourge's weakness, right? Let's say they're on a boat together like in Sonic X. What would they do, and who would go crazy first?
I I don't know if they get a chance to go crazy because Scourge would try to find a way to drown Sonic. Like, prime opportunity. First shot would be the pool just for irony.
Yeah.
I was expecting a bigger laugh. Damn it.
Sorry.
And then you have just like very close quarters, very tight racetrack racing battle around the boat. And when Scourge realizes he's going to lose again, he just opts to like scuttle the whole bloody cruise ship.
If I go down, I'm taking you with me, right?
Exactly.
There you go. There you go. All right, Spoiler 1001 has a question. In a Scourge version of Sonic 06, would the final story just be Fiona trying to collect the Anarchy Barrels to try and bring Scourge back? Or would it be the entire squad?
It'd be the squad. They may not want to bring him back, but she's like, look, if anyone's going to fix that, it's going to be him. And I can't do this by myself. So unless you all want to die to some kind of featureless, timeless maw, grab me the bloody Anarchy Barrel and meet back here in 0600 hours.
0600 hours,
exactly. When else would it be? Come on.
Big oof. Big oof, Ian Flynn. Big
Come
oof.
on.
That oof, that's the biggest oof since the big oof of issue 51.
I say.
Pa. He still has to get a kiss by a princess, though, doesn't he?
Simeon just like forces Elise to smooch him.
Oh no.
Grabs the back of her head. Plunk! There! Resurrection.
Oh. Oof. Even though Fiona is the queen. But oh well. Steph Cube is here with a question. Let's imagine that Sonic, Whisper, and Shadow must team up for a mission. What would the interaction of the three be like? Could Sonic calm the obvious tension thanks to Whisper's past with the Shadow androids? Would the three of them have trouble coordinating in battle?
I think Shadow would be the problem here because he's not really a team player for the most part, certainly not with Sonic. And he's going to go off and do his own thing the way he thinks it should be done. And Sonic, not to be shown up, is going to go off and do that as well. Only he'll be, polite enough to say bye to Whisper before he goes. And Whisper will be left to kind of take up the rear, check their corners as they go blazing off, wrap things up where they couldn't or didn't. And then when they get distracted with, jockeying with each other, she's finishing the mission. And they realize, oh, Whisper did it. And then they all escape. Big explosion. Base is gone. Curse that hedgehog. You know how it goes. And Sonic is like, yeah, team effort. Even if it was a little, disparate. And Shadow gives Whisper a terse but acknowledging nod of satisfaction. She returns the look and they go their separate ways.
Whisper would be like, I did all the work. Which, that tracks. All right, we are coming up to the end here, so let's jump into the spoiler zone real quick. These are questions with Sonic Superstars spoilers in them. So I think this will be the last week we separate these out. This one is from Domino. Are super forms only attainable after a personal/spiritual advancement? For example, Sonic becoming a role model and inspiring others via Tails in Sonic 2, Shadow remembering his true promise to Maria and choosing to help save humanity in Sonic Adventure 2, Trip standing up for herself against Fang in Superstars. Is this also why we haven't seen super forms for Tails, Knuckles, and Amy, as they have yet to achieve their quote-unquote awakening?
Neat idea, but I don't think so. I think Knuckles had his awakening when he realized that Sonic was one to be trusted, that Eggman wasn't, and that he could rely on others.
Mm-hmm.
I think Tails has had multiple awakenings.
Uh-huh.
And, Amy, for her part, probably should have had hers back in the early adventure days. So, no, I don't think there's no narrative rhyme or reason to it.
Just because Sega said so. Boo, Sega. Boo this man company.
That, and I don't like that idea in particular just because it says that implies that all the other characters aren't as emotionally realized as Sonic or as have reached a moral threshold, and that I don't like that judgment call.
All right, and our last question on this episode comes to us from Stardust Spectre. Are Superstars Emerald powers like a North Star Alliance thing? Is it a non-canon gameplay thing? Or are you just as out of the loop as we are? Because I refuse to believe they just never use these again for no reason.
Again, I don't know how much of its lore I can talk about without it coming out through official channels first. But yeah, it's a North Star Island specific thing. There is a reason for it, and I don't think it will be showing up elsewhere.
I mean, you could be wrong, but
I could be. Superstars 2 comes out, and oh look, now emeralds do have powers, and somehow they were lost between the classic and modern era. I don't know.
Now we're on the Northwest Star Islands. And it still
Put
works.
out that fire when we get to
it. Yeah. It's kind of like the Starfall Islands with the cyberspace powers, I guess. I guess that makes some sense.
Special ability locked to a location.
Yeah. There's a lot of stars in Sonic, by the way.
Yeah.
For a series focused on a lot of rings, there sure are a lot of stars.
We've had space stations and alien planets and bizarro starscapes. There can be stars.
I don't know. It feels like they're trying to steal Mario stars. More stars than Mario 64.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. That's all we got.
Yeah, thank you so much to our patrons over at patreon.com/BumbleKast, Ko-fi.com/BumbleKast, and our YouTube members for sponsoring this show. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and we will see you next time on the BumbleKast.
Catch you in the next one. Has Silver said anything controversial yet in...
He said crap.
IDW?
So many people clutch at pearls.
That was funny. I mean, people clutched pearls over Cream saying, "What the heck?"
Go outside more.
Language.
Can you imagine a tiny child saying heck?
Yes.
Yes, I
have
can.
worked with small children. I have heard them say many things.
They say things that are dangerously close to what you might hear an adult say. Actually, sometimes they actually say what adults might say.
Mm-hmm. Worrisomely so.
I wonder where they get it from. Anyway. You've been listening to the BumbleKast, a co-production of Bumble King Comics and the KNGI Network. Original theme music composed by Ken Coda Snyder. Remixed intro by T-Lopes. Find out more information, along with podcast feeder links, MP3 downloads, and more at bumbleking.com and kngi.org. People are like, what's other M? What's other M? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's a Metroid game, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Totally. Obviously.